Got a really interesting question from a client yesterday, and interesting mostly because I don't have a sort of immediate, sort of canned response that goes for everybody, which is what makes it interesting. And the question is, this guy is over 40, right? I believe he's 42, 43 or something. And he mentioned that he got his entire social media feed is like flooded with these ads and stuff about fit over 30, fit over 40, and fit over 50 with like F45 and like CrossFit and high intensity stuff. All these different programs, right? So he asked me like, which one is the one that is most effective for if you're indeed like over 30, over 40, over 50? Really good question. And the simple answer is none of them and all of them, right? Because it really depends on the individual. So we decided to kind of break this down. I asked him if he was okay, if he was serious about this question, and if he wanted to dig into it, so that we can kind of answer this question for him as an individual, which makes a lot more sense than just having a generalized answer. So I explained to him how we assess the goals and the current situation of have when we have somebody coming in, such as himself. So what we look at, somebody comes in, of course, we would first establish his sort of medical history. What kind of injuries has he had? What kind of diet does he have? What is his activity level like? And so on and so forth. What kind of experience does he have in training? That is just baseline stuff, right? Otherwise, you cannot make it specific. We do a body composition, weigh him in, and then after that, we get to the sort of functional part. And what I explained to him is that we like to look at different qualities. So before I advise somebody that you should be doing this sort of approach, what we do is we take a look and see how is your cardiovascular health, how is your energy system working. Can you run a 1 kilometer under 6 minutes, for example? If the answer is no, then that is a quality that you should consider developing, because it's a benchmark, sort of a baseline level where we say, okay, if you can do that, this is functioning well. If you can't do that, you need to work on it. There's a lot of benefits if you do. So that's energy systems, cardiovascular health. Then you can do a similar thing for, let's say, how is your upper body strength? And there's many ways that you can measure it, but a simple way would be to doing like a max push-up test in 1 minute. So how many times can you push yourself up with good form? Again, there's benchmarks for this, right? Going all the way down and all the way up, no halfies, no nothing like that. We need to have a standard that we can measure against. And then we have a pretty good idea of how is your upper body strength looking. How is your, let's say, how is your leg endurance looking? We can do something like a wall sit against the wall in a 90-degree angle, arms forward. Can you hold that position for 1 minute? 1 minute gives us a pretty good idea of what the muscular endurance is of the legs, the lower body. So that would be a good way to assess that. Then we might look at balance. How is your balance, especially in the elderly population? Falling over as a result of balance is a massive risk factor, because not only because falling over, you can just break something, right? And then you might have another big issue, such as, I don't know, surgery and rehab and so on. But in general, it influences all the other things. So if you don't have good balance, you probably don't have a good gait when you run. You don't have good agility when you need to turn corners and so on and so forth. So balance is something that we assess. Lower body strength, explosiveness, for example. How high can you jump? Which you can just do a jump and touch test. If you have a high enough wall, you just kind of jump up and then put like a post-it or something. And then you can kind of measure how high that is. There's also benchmark baseline amounts that you should be able to get. Another simple way would be to do a broad jump. So putting tape on the floor, jumping as far as you can, and then noting the distance. And again, for this, there's also scores. So then slowly but surely, you can start to put all these things into sort of a score system, right? Your cardiovascular endurance, energy system, check, you got it. Flexibility needs a little bit of work on the back of the body or front of the body or whatever. Agility, explosiveness. And then after the end, you have this nice little neat snapshot of your current level of fitness based on all these different testing. And then you have something to actually work with and say, first you work on cardio, or first you work on upper body strength, or you do both. Again, completely dependent, of course, on the individual, the level of current fitness and health, the time somebody has to spend, and all of these other things you need to factor in. So that is my sort of complicated answer, but I think the most valuable answer that I can give. And I think this is something that once you get over 30, you start to realize you need to think about how you approach fitness. You can't just go into a 10K run anymore. You can't just go, by the way, of course, some people can, right? But you cannot just go into kickboxing matches anymore. Or you need to think about what kind of weaknesses, stiffness, control issues have you secretly started to build up, kind of rust in the system from just not being active, which you'd be surprised, right? What I see on a daily basis. And from that, you need to start creating a route forward. So that's basically what we do. That's the best answer I can give for if somebody has this particular question to me. If this is something that you're thinking about as well, I hope that makes a lot of sense to you. And if you need help with that, of course, you can reach out. Then a small little addition to that, he also asked, what is better to do for weight loss? Is long steady state cardio, so on a nice slow and easy pace jogging, is that better for weight loss? Or is high intensity cardio better, like burpees and jumping jacks and whatnot, sprints? And then the answer to that is similar as the answer at the start. I'll answer it slightly different. What is better for you is the thing that you can do on a long term basis. So something that you can practice with structure over time is what will give you the most results. I think scientifically, whether you go for an HIT, high intensity training, or for a steady state, it doesn't really matter as much if you don't have consistency over time, right? As long as you pick something that you can do consistently over time, you will get the results. Whether it's running in a slow pace or running up a hill, both have different benefits, of course, and not everybody is suitable to do the hill runs, such as not everybody is suitable to do long-term cardio runs on a slow, steady pace. But in terms of weight loss, how it moves the needle, so to speak, it doesn't really matter as long as you're consistent over time. So I hope it turned to a little bit of a longer video than I expected initially, but I think this is important information. And once you have that little snapshot, then you can start to make a route and navigate it with or without the help of a professional. So great question, and I liked thinking about it. Hopefully this is helpful for you as well, and might change your way of thinking about fitness a little bit. If you need any help with this, reach out to us. We're here to help, and have a good day.